I hope that's visible. Before we move on, I just wanted to quickly read out the disclaimer. Uh, Otherwise, it's going to be a challenge. Right. So, quick read through IBM statement regarding its plans, direction, and intent are subject to change or withdrawal without notice at IBM's sole discretion. Information regarding potential future product is intended to outline our general product direction, and it should not be relied on in making purchasing decisions. The information mentioned regarding potential future product is not a commitment, promise, or a legal obligation to deliver any material, code, or functionality. Information about potential future products may not be incorporated into any contract. The development release timings of any future features, functionality described, or products remains at our sole discretion. The performance is based on measures and projections using standard IBM benchmark in controlled environment. The actual throughput or performance that any users will experience will vary depending upon many factors, including considerations such as servers, network, storage, and application infrastructure. Therefore, no assurance can be given that an individual users will achieve results similar to those stated. Right, that's a long one. Better we get started. Okay, so about speakers, I have my colleague along with me from Dot Group, Lee Otterway. He's a commercial director, data transport, and myself, Kunal Banshinge, senior product manager for IBM Aspera Enterprise. Agenda. Before we jump onto agenda, I just wanted to share a quick story about last week. And it's quite eminent for me to share that story because it talks about how Aspera has been changing so far. So last week I was on a call with one of the pharma companies who have been trying to build a workflow for data and file sharing. Uh, Currently they have built a complex workflow with a heavy code base, and it has been a challenge for them because the workflow itself is not scalable. They have to maintain that code base heavily, and then whenever a new partner or a new company had to be introduced, or in any new workflows, data transfers for clinical data or a safety data, they have to transfer it through this workflow, was very complex. That's where we understood the problem with this customers. We tried evaluating what could be a possible solution, and it was quite eminent for us to understand and map it to our existing platform, which is Aspera Enterprise Orchestrator, which is a low code and no code technology where you can simply build your workflow with a drag and drop. It's very similar to BPM. And then you can easily integrate your high speed transfer out there and then easily build those. So we did a short POC with them, and first workflow itself was successful, and they were quite happy with it to get started and start building more workflow. Right. So the point behind sharing this story was Aspera is just not high-speed file transfer. We've gone beyond of that, and we have adapted many of the different use cases. Be it a pharma, be it automobile, be it finance, be it manufacturing, we have catered to varied use cases, and we've been catering to those very varied use cases apart from media and entertainment. So the point I'm trying to make here is that we've been in a transformation journey. We are transforming our overall user experience of Aspera for our users and even for our buyers, which eventually you'll see it through this webinar, and it'll be quite eminent for you to go through this. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get started. So let's see how we are going to spend this next 45 minutes to an hour. I'll just give you a quick overview about agenda. So we are going to have an overview of Dot Group. My colleague Lee will be walking us through that. And then he will also talk about and deep dive into Aspera technology. And then I'll take over. I'll talk about IBM Aspera for desktop. We'll have a short demo of it, a very short one. Then we'll also talk about something exciting, Aspera Enterprise Web Apps, which is in future. And then we'll also talk about Aspera Lite. Okay, so that's how we're going to spend overall throughout this 45 minutes. Without further ado, I will hand over to Lee. Over to you, Lee.
Thank you very much. And yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. So just a quick introduction to Dot Group. So Dot Group is an IBM Gold business partner and has been for over 25 years now. We provide data solutions and services globally. So we're based in the UK, but we have offices in France. We have strategic partnerships with other IBM partners in the US. We've recently hired more staff that are catering for Middle East and Asia as well. So we deal with lots of different IBM products. There's a bunch of us that are employed by Dot Group that are actually ex-IBM Aspera people. So part of the Aspera team prior to IBM acquiring Aspera as a business. So we're very adept at dealing with all inquiries related to Aspera. So that's, I think, why Kunal's got me on this call with him. Yeah, we're more than happy to take inquiries, no matter how large or small they might be, and talk them through with you. Yeah, so let's move on to the next slide there. So part of Doc's expertise is we have people all around the world, project managers, there's a list there, business analysts, data analysts, architects, modelers, engineers, solutions architects, and we deal with, as we mentioned, Aspera. We're also focusing a lot on sustainability at the moment, so decarbonisation, ESG reporting and regulation. And the team across the board can deal with data platforms, data concepts, data integration, migration to the cloud, containerization, deployment, data governance, data observability, business intelligence, and data science. So we're really a one-stop shop for all things data. So moving on to Aspera as a product itself. So as Kunal mentioned, the product itself back in the day really cut its teeth in the media and entertainment industry, where there are large files that were being created. Since the acquisition by IBM, I would say it's really spread out very widely to lots of other verticals. So Kunal just mentioned life sciences as an example there. We ourselves have got life science customers, and really it's where there's data that builds up, and it's incredible. Still, even to this day, I'm still surprised when I stumble across a new vertical and a new type of workflow that's needed, and you find out where their data is going. And you know, even if you've not been an expert in that field before, it's very interesting getting on a call with people and them explaining where they've struggled, so where the bottlenecks have been with their data flow. Yeah, I mean, everything from legal firms that we've been dealing with recently, where security is of paramount importance. You know, it's not just a matter of moving a few you know, reasonable sized files every so often. You know, in illegal terms, you have entire images of PCs, so an entire hard drive with folders and hierarchies of folders within it that need to be sent as part of a legal case very quickly, and there's global teams that need to contribute to that. So a year ago, I hadn't heard of that requirement, and you know, it came our way, and we talked it through with the customer, and they ended up deploying Aspera on cloud for that, and it's revolutionized the way that they work, because they're able to collaborate far more quickly in an extremely secure manner, yeah, it's changed the way that they do their business. And I've got a list as long as my arm of different verticals, you know, oil and gas, finance, it just goes on and on and on. So looking here at the ways that data are transported, in the first section there, you have, you know, big data transport and synchronization. So to transfer and distribute and synchronize data, it sounds easy, but it's really not. And especially on the synchronization side, when you've got multi-million files that need to be synchronized, but very quickly, and if those files are very large, other systems just fall down. So Aspera is got a particular part of it, Aspera Sync, which deals with not just the sending of the large files, but also the synchronization of multi-million files at the same time. And that is becoming more and more popular because it's something that there are other sync methods out there in the market, but not that actually deal with the management of sending large files and synchronization at the same time. So it's quite a unique combination of the two. Just regular large file sending and sharing. So, forget synchronization for a second. I just want to email someone a really large file, or I've got a folder here that I want to share with somebody that I'm collaborating on. The core products have got that nailed. So you can just as simply log into an interface, type in someone's email address. They may never have even heard of Aspera before, but as long as you've got their email address, you type it in, you attach a file or a folder full of files of any size, anywhere in the world, and you click send. And that's it. It's that simple. So everyone's used to having regular sort of collaboration tools and being able to send an email. But when you can suddenly attach a 100 terabyte file to something, it suddenly changes the way people work. So yeah, the core interfaces that come with Aspera, whether it's Aspera on cloud or the Aspera enterprise version, they all cater for these basic requirements of file sharing and sending. And the beauty of that as well is, if I send, if I've got someone's email address and I send them a file and they've never heard of Aspera before, they just receive that in their inbox. There's a simple link that they click on. It installs a free web browser plugin on their side, so it effectively gives them a piece of Aspera on their side, and away they go. You've got a piece of Aspera on both sides. It hasn't cost the recipient anything to do that, and suddenly they see a huge file being sent to them, lightning speed. This is the infectious way that Aspera works. Is people start to see that and say, "How are you doing that? How have you just sent me this massive file?" And all I've done is just click on an email and open it. So it's a really great product to use, but then you get great kudos when you suddenly see the people that you're sending it to turn around and say, "Well, that's pretty cool. Can you introduce me to IBM because I want some of that." As Kunal mentioned, so there's automation. So the Aspera orchestrator product is a very, very in-depth product. It's funnily enough, just got off of a call with a customer before joining this webinar that's been struggling. They have so many things that they're doing manually at the moment, and they're just sitting there saying to themselves, "This has got to be there must be a better way of doing this." And of course, we were able to turn around and demonstrate how it works. It's got lists of over 100 plugins, and that plugin list is growing daily. And IBM we're adding to the amount of different products and protocols that are supported within that. But you're able to literally just create your own workflow in a very nice visual way, and you put each piece of the workflow onto the screen in front of you, connect them together, tell them what each one needs to do. If something is an error here, or you've not got the right metadata within a file here, it sends it back. And the sorts of things where people have just had to really dirty their hands, scratching their head saying, "What's wrong with this file? What why is it stalled in this department over here?" It just streamlines all of that. So it's a massive section of what Aspera does, not just file transfer, but making your day-to-day operations far smoother. And just the different models that you can buy Aspera in. There's other file transfer solutions out there which are just very kind of, we do a little bit of this and we do a little bit of that, and you have to buy it this way. Aspera is not like that. Aspera is any cloud it can be set up in a hybrid manner. The purchasing models behind it are very flexible, and so whether you've got a budget to spend straight away, you could just buy a load of Aspera and own it outright as a perpetual license. If you've got more of a capex, an opex model, sorry, and you just want to, grow, start small and grow with a volume model, there's ways of selling it that way. So it really is very flexible, and all the pieces that make up the Aspera bundle, we really see like Lego blocks. You can start with what you need. If it would just happen to be automation, you can start with just automation and then move into the accelerated file transfer side of things. Most customers will start with the file transfer side of things, and then they start to learn about the automation side of things and go, oh, that's great. Now I'm doing file transfer, I want to use some of these other tools. So there's lots of different web apps that Kunal's going to get into later, that you get included with these packages. And yeah, it really comes as a full selection of things that you can just either take on board all at the same time if you can handle it, or you just start off with the bits that you need and grow into it. But it's a very full and in-depth set of products applications. Next slide, please, Kunal.
Yeah.
Okay, so focusing, and I've been talking to people about Aspera for many years now, so there's a lot of times that we skip over the basic magic that is underneath it all. So FAST is the name of the protocol, so that stands for Fast Adaptive Secure Protocol. And if you just fast, it's fast. Adaptive, we'll get into that, so it has an adaptive rate controller. Secure, the security levels are very high, and it's a protocol. So the graphic that you can see in front of you here, whether the text is too small to see on this webinar or not, I'll talk you through it. So the first little graphic with blocks there is trying to indicate the big blue block at the back of the section is what you would expect in terms of throughput and packet loss and round trip time if you were in your own data center. So, there's no distance involved there, so you don't get a big round trip time or packet loss. So when you're sending things within your own building and your own network locally, things are quick. Of course they are, because there's not much problem. But you can see there with that graphic, as soon as you start to step outside of your building and you add more geographic distance, that creates more packet loss and more round trip time. And that's just the way the internet works. So if you're doing an FTP transfer in the past, you'll see that as soon as you try and send that file further afield, it just drops off. I mean, I don't use FTP anymore. Why would I? Because I use Aspera. But back in the old days when you'd use a TCP-based protocol, I can remember clicking send on a file and it's saying, oh, it will take an hour. And you go away, you have a cup of coffee, you come back an hour later and it says it's going to take an hour and a half. So that in itself encapsulates what the problem is with TCP is when you're trying to send things over distance, it just falls apart. Now, if you look at the graphic on the right-hand side, this is what Aspera does. So regardless of distance and round trip time and packet loss, you get the same speed that you're probably used to when you're sending things internally inside your own building. Imagine that globally. And remember, this is software only, okay? So there's no hardware acceleration. You're not duplicating files in different data centers to make it so they're accessible. This is just sending a file from A to B anywhere globally using a software only protocol. And that really is what's at the heart of all of this. This is what makes Aspera so popular and so good, is that it doesn't need loads of infrastructure. It just uses your existing internet connections and infrastructure that you've already got. So you don't need to go and purchase anything additional. It's just starting a new subscription or buying a license from IBM, and you get this functionality with what you've got already. It's really quite fantastic. Next slide, please. So, of course, like with most pieces of software, there's other players out there in the field, and it wouldn't be right if we didn't address at least a few of the things that make Aspera very special. So when I was talking about the FASP protocol, there's actually some patented parts of that protocol that nobody else can do. So in intelligent bandwidth management, you have something called the adaptive rate controller. So what that does is while files are being transferred, it will automatically recognize other things that are on the network. So people have probably heard of things like UDP blasters. So you could run a UDP blaster on your network, but then you see suddenly when people start complaining that their email stopped working and there's a million other things that have just stopped working on the network, it's because the UDP blaster has flattened everything. Now, Aspera has got some patented technology in there where it will actually monitor the other things that are going on and it will work around them. So all your emails, all of your other core business functions that are happening on that network stay working. It monitors this in real time. On top of that, you have the ability that when you're sending a file, you can actually set priorities for things. So you might have some regular day-to-day business operations that need to send files, and that can just churn away in the background, and maybe you want that to use 25% of the available network. There's always going to be someone on a Friday afternoon that turns around and says, there's an emergency, you know, we need to get these files over to this end user. So you can initiate a file transfer, but you can actually get involved with it while it's happening. So you can either ahead of time set higher priorities for certain customers, or you can actually go and see the transfer while it's taking place, and you can actually drag the mouse up the screen and apply a higher level of bandwidth to that transfer to make it go faster. So having that level of control over your transfers is not what other people do. It's patented, and it's a very clever part of what the Aspera protocol does. The automatic transfer resumption. So this is particularly interesting. Sometimes you can't control when a power cut happens. If there's just an unseen interruption to your network, someone trips over a network cable, it's something silly. We have customers that in the oil and gas industry that have what we call ship to shore type scenarios, where they have vessels out at sea. And a rain cloud comes over, you lose internet connection. If the ship turns in a certain direction, you lose internet connection. So the importance of the automatic transfer resumption is that Aspera knows how many packets of data it's sent. So at the point of interruption, when the connection is reestablished, it will carry on from the point of interruption. Now that's very important because TCP and FTP type transfers will not work in that manner. They will need to, well, first of all, they'll choke and they'll just stop. And then you'll need to resume it from the beginning again. And that's very annoying if you've just been sending a 100 gig file and you're at 99 gig of it, and then the connection fails. So with Aspera, it will just pick up from the 99th gig and deliver that last 1 gig, which makes it very efficient. You know, it means that you're getting things very regularly and reliably, and it just caters for all sorts of different scenarios. You know, whether you've got a very solid network connection, great, Aspera will just carry on working all day, every day. If you've got things where it's chops and changes and you have low bandwidths, it caters for those kind of scenarios very well as well. And that's really what adds into the line there about enhanced reliability. It's robust architecture that I've just explained means you get consistent performance. European support, obviously IBM is a global company, and so you know, in terms of IBM support, you get global support, so that there's always people on hand to help. Dot Group especially, as I've already mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, we are experts in our field. We're IBM's preferred partner for IBM Aspera. We have offices in the UK, in France. We have support desks in South Africa as well. So we cover all the bases really. So you should always feel that you have a nice smiley face to come to if you ever need any help with things. The other competitors, they have very odd charging mechanisms as well. You need to keep an eye out for. So they may, a lot of them market themselves very low priced, and you think, oh, well, that's a bargain. You don't get anything for free these days. So a lot of the competitors, they'll find other ways of charging you, and a lot of these ways they'll charge for things like users. So as soon as you start actually using the software, you suddenly start getting these massive bills coming back. Aspera doesn't do that. You get unlimited users, and so we IBM encourage you to adopt the software. You know, we don't want to penalize you for you know, getting on board with the software and using it more. So just be aware of that. If you ever look around, just make sure that you're not being charged for stealth taxes further down the line. It has extensive compatibility for different operating systems, so it will fit into all different IT environments, things like Aspera on cloud, for example. IBM used the term any cloud, so it comes with IBM Cloud, of course, because it's an IBM product. But if you were an AWS user or Google or Azure, it's built from day one to work with all of these different cloud environments. So yeah, you can just take a subscription or a license and go and deploy it where you want. It really works in any scenario. We've not yet found one where it won't work. And that goes for, you know, just where it's the compute side of things, and the storage as well. I've already mentioned the flexibility on the licensing. So again, you can either start small. I mean, IBM Aspera on cloud starts at about $250 per terabyte. So that's about £239 if you're doing things in sterling. It's really great because you get the full might of an IBM SaaS product for you know, less than £300, €300, $300. And you get the full suite. You get everything, all the functionality that's in IBM Aspera, but it means you can get your first foot on the ladder at very little cost, and you can start and grow from there. And as you grow, you might find that the volume model suits you really well. If you don't, you can start on a volume model, and then if you like to change to a perpetual license model at any time, you can. So having that flexibility, again, that comes back to some of the stuff about the competitors out there. They will force you down one route, knowing that they're going to be able to roll that up. And as you get more and more into, say, a subscription model, and you start to charge for users and things like that, it's all too often we see customers that have gone so far down a route somewhere that it's so difficult to pull back out of it. So at least with Aspera, you've got different license models that you can pick and choose that you want to go with at any point in time. So it's really nice. Some of the products that Kunal's going to get into in a minute, we'll talk about the different web apps. So there's like webmail, shared folders, there's a security proxy, there's an administration console. So Aspera Console is an extremely popular add-on to the Aspera transfer servers. 9 times out of 10, every transfer server that we deploy with our customers, it has Console with it. And Console gives you a global view on every single transfer that's going on. And that is quite impressive. You know, if you've got a situation where you've got multiple transfer servers and hundreds or thousands of transfers happening globally each day, if someone questions, I didn't receive this file, or how quickly did it reach this customer, you can go into this thing and generate a custom report, and it will tell you very clearly what's going on. And it's just a great management dashboard. And sometimes this gets overlooked because we look so much at how fast does Aspera transfer, and sometimes you skip over some of these really important front-end applications that come with it. And then we've already touched on automation. And in terms of APIs, I should not miss APIs. So the comments I get back from our customer base is that Aspera has got the widest and healthiest set of APIs. It's really, really good if you want to get to that point where you just don't want off-the-shelf things, and you want to do customized things or have API calls happening for whatever reason. It's all documented. It's all available on the IBM website to be able to go and have a look at the APIs. It's a very strong part of the Aspera offering. And because of everything that I've just explained to you, that is why Aspera is the most distributed product of this type in the market. The market share for Aspera is bigger than any other file transfer product out there in the world. So we have lots of customers. Again, a customer I spoke to just this morning is saying, I'm currently using a large, I won't say their name, but a large global media and entertainment company. They had their own servers, and we were piggybacking off of that. We were using the might of their servers, but now our business has grown to a point where we want our own. We need to be able to have our own. We need to be able to send it out to our own set of end users and have that same capability that big parent company had before. Yeah, it's the share, the market share out there is very high. And if you haven't come across Aspera already from what you're doing, then you'll probably come across it by asking the right questions to the right people in the right departments, and they'll say, yeah, we've either experienced it ourselves or we have our own servers already. But if you don't have your server, this is the time to get one. So Kunal, next slide, please.
Oh, great. We are moving on to the next section of it. But before that, thanks, Lee. That's a great foundation, I must say. And, I keep hearing these different use cases, different stories around it. The recent one, which I heard, was related to autonomous vehicles, where you have your autonomous vehicles running on the road, and then we transferring the data to the data centers or the cloud storage. I do get amazed with these different kind of use cases and how we're catering to through Aspera, right?
Yeah, and then
Thanks.
the world's always changing, isn't it, Kunal? Like
Yeah.
technology is changing. Whether you're looking at satellites, some of the things that we were doing just the other day, we're looking at Starlink and low orbit satellites and high. The world changes, and so the methods that you can use, but people still need to move their data. That one thing remains the same. So as much as the technology might improve, you still have a need for Aspera to come in, and because it will always improve what you may have already improved by increasing your bandwidth, is still then improved by about 98% by using the Aspera protocol. So yeah, it's always very interesting.
Yeah, that's true. And on that point, Lee, I do want to mention the way you mentioned world is changing. Even as per how we have been adapting this change, I'm pretty sure it will reflect in next few slides and the things that are coming now. Okay, so that's about the Aspera technology overview. We love keep hearing about this, but let's talk about Aspera for Desktop. What Aspera for Desktop is. Uh, I think our existing customers and many of you may be aware that current Aspera Connect client has been the go-to way to launch and manage your high-speed transfer through the browsers. But eminently, we've been hearing a feedback about the Connect client that the browser extension plugins is one of the challenge. Then the UI is pretty old. Then to update the application itself requires a good amount of efforts. And we've been hearing this feedback from our customers, from our partners, and we started thinking about it, how we take that experience to the next level. That's where the IBM Aspera Desktop comes into a picture. IBM Aspera Desktop is a standalone application which is going to replace the Connect client. What benefits it brings in? Let's start know about it. So with the desktop application, we're going to have a consistent UI. What our efforts so far is to bring in the consistent user experience for our users. So it's just not about desktop, but whatever future applications you're going to see in Aspera is going to have a consistent user experience and look and feel of it. For IBM Aspera Desktop, we have adopted to the newest Carbon UI framework of IBM, and that's going to be around in other product and application portfolios as well. Automatic update is one of the configurations that we provided. You no longer have to dependent on a manual update, and someone have to manually click on it to update it, or probably bring in a new file and then update the applications. This is inherited now, and users can easily go ahead and auto update the applications whenever the new release or new updates are available. Uh, the browser extension, we've been hearing this from a lot of our users. Uh, Now with desktop, you no longer have to have the browser extension available. Uh, that dependency on the browser extension plugins have been taken away, and you can simply manage your transfers through this desktop application. One of the beautiful things which I have seen in new desktop application is Help Center. If I want to know anything about any of the functionality in the desktop application, usually you try to Google it, or you try to find your answers through your partners or through questioning it through support centers and all and all. But here we have provided a kind of help center. Whatever questions you have, you could just simply type in, and then you'll be able to have your answers on your fingertips itself. So that's a great functionality which we provided. Then you can link your Aspera accounts, be it your Aspera on Cloud account, be it your high-speed transfer account or Faspex Buy account. You can link it in the desktop app itself and manage your transfers along with that. Then more frequent release cycle. It is imminent since desktop is built on a new technology. So we're going to have a more release cycle. We're going to have more new features and enhanced features that certainly you'll be seeing it in future now. There are a few advanced feature. Uh, you can perform a lightweight automation as well. In case you want to synchronize your file and you don't want to do that manually, you could simply perform it through the browser desktop itself, and then you can kick in that automation. We provided a great amount of configuration in the application. You can control your bandwidth, you can control your queue of synchronization. All those sort of configuration have been provided, and then along with that, access log is also part of it. And you can also customize your desktop application based on your organization branding. So you see, what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to take your overall user experience to the next level. But before uh, let me just directly jump onto the application itself and just give you a glimpse of it, how the new desktop will look like. Okay, so for the sake of this demo, I have already linked my Aspera Cloud account. But here is the link functionality where you'll be able to link your Aspera Cloud. You'll be able to link your Faspex 5 or high-speed transfer server that you should be able to link it easily. The moment you link your account, you'll be able to see all of them here in single pane of glass. Uh, I have my Aspera Cloud account already linked. So the moment I go into my account, Aspera Cloud account, I should be able to see all of my packages, files. I should be able to see in the desktop itself. I need not to go to those individual applications and then access it and then manage it. That pane is taken away. I should be able to manage those files, packages from here itself. And then if you want to perform a light note or a transfer, you can do that as well. So those are the shared files I should be able to do. I should be able to view it, manage it. I can do that. Uh, if I have to perform a simple and a fast file transfer, if I have to send a file to anyone, I can do that through desktop by just simply typing the email address whom I want to send it. Uh, File. And how simplest I can do that is just by dragging and dropping those files out here. So I can just simply pick up a file from here and then drop it to my yeah, drop it to my desktop, and those files are ready to ready to be delivered.
And that can be any size, can it, Kunal? So a
Yeah,
file of any
that
size, and folders, multiple hierarchies of folders as well. That's what's really clever about this.
yeah. And I've taken 1 Gbps files and just for the demo purpose out here. Right. Since the file is transferring, you can also see the entire log of it. You can manage that transfer. If you want to pause it, you can pause that. If you want to restart it, you can restart it. If you want to cancel that, you can cancel it as well. So all capabilities are provided out there. I did mention about the automation, lightweight automation. If you want to, put a lightweight automation where you want to synchronize the folder whenever a new file is available, whenever new data needs to be transferred or synchronized to a different folder, that can be performed through the automation. Then we have configuration. You have general configuration available where you can do a branding of it, whether I want to go for light mode or even a dark mode, that I can choose it based on your need. If I need to have an automation notifications, that also I can set in terms of notification, how I want to get notified. All those capabilities and configuration have been provided. We did talk about automatic updates. That has also been configure is available as a configuration. In case you do not want, in case you want to push the updates manually, you can do that based on your organization needs. That configuration has been provided. Uh, in transfer configuration, you can configure everything. You can configure your locations, you can configure your sessions, queues, based on your lightweight automation we talked about. If you want to control your bandwidth, you can configure that as well. If I want to keep it to 100 Mbps or I want to take it to 1 Gbps, that's something it can be easily performed. And then you have proxies, transfer proxies that's available, and even the trusted website that you can control it from the application. And then we also talked about a quick help center. If I want to know anything about the feature to link up my account, I can simply just type in and I'll get the answers here itself. I don't have to wait for someone else's or dependent on someone else. I could just read through and then manage my file transfer. So that's the short story about Aspera for Desktop. And as you see, we have been evolving it. We've adapted to the new UI framework, and the overall user experience has been transformed. I'm pretty sure whoever has been using the old Connect client, they would see a complete shift from old experience to the new experience. And this user experience is going to be consistent around our all the other applications. You should be able to see that. Okay, let's move on to next section. But yeah, before we move on to next section of it, I just wanted to mention one thing about Aspera for Desktop and even the old Connect client. The old Connect client is will not be available for maintenance or download effective June 2026. So we will not be managing and maintaining it from June 2026. What that brings in is I would encourage all of our existing Connect users to migrate to our new Aspera for Desktop and leverage all these great functionalities that have been provided. And the migration itself is going to be smooth and easy because we already have a migration capability. The moment you log in, first time log into your Aspera on Cloud account, you get a pop-up whether you want to migrate to the Aspera for Desktop, and then you will be able to easily get to the new Aspera for Desktop. So yeah, that's about Aspera for Desktop. Let's talk about Aspera Enterprise Web Apps. Now, our existing customers or users of Aspera Enterprise have been using consoles, shares, or Faspex for that matter heavily. And these are very powerful platforms that have been serving a very different use cases. But these platforms products are independent and independently managed. That's how our customers are using it and leveraging all the great use cases that can be catered through these applications. But we've been thinking about it. what if we bring all of these together in one single application under one single umbrella, catering to files, packages, automations, activity, and reporting? What else? What if we bring into one single umbrella? That's what we've been thinking about it, and that's where Aspera Enterprise Web Apps comes into a picture. We started working on Aspera Enterprise Web Apps, I think, a year and a half ago, and the Aspera Enterprise Web Apps is slated to launch by end of this year and next year as well, which will bring in a good amount of capability where you'll have one single application which will cater to all different use cases of what current shares, consoles, and Faspex is catering to. And one thing I do want to mention about is Enterprise Web Apps is built on current AOC code base. What that means is you already have a well proven solid application in place. In future, it will have all the capabilities and use cases and features of existing console shares and Faspex integrated in it. So what does that mean is you're going to have one single applications, which is going to be a very powerful application catering to all different use cases under one single umbrella. Uh, Maybe what I can do is I can just give you a quick glimpse of how the Aspera Enterprise Web Apps going to look like. Let me just play a short video of it, and then we will move on to the next section of it.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. So today we are going to be doing a walkthrough of IBM Aspera on Cloud. So Aspera on Cloud is a very powerful hybrid SaaS solution that is designed to transport large sets of data. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. So today we are going to be doing a walkthrough of IBM Aspera on Cloud. So Aspera on Cloud is a very powerful hybrid SaaS solution that is designed to transport large sets of data over long distances. And when we say large data, we are talking gigabytes, terabytes, and beyond. Aspera has no file size limitations when it comes to transferring. And Aspera allows you to quickly and securely send these files regardless of file size, network condition, or transfer distance. So the key thing to know about Aspera is that it uses a patented technology called FASP, which stands for the Fast, Adaptive, and Secure Protocol. So FASP is able to outperform your traditional transfer methods such as FTP or HTTP, especially when it comes to transferring over long distances or in high latency networks. So let's go ahead and get started by jumping straight into the applications. So when you log in, you actually land on something called the Files application. So what we'll do is go ahead and upload a file to a workspace. And you might ask yourself, what is a workspace? So a workspace can be thought of as secure containers where teams can collaborate and share content with one another. So let's go ahead and upload a file to the workspace titled demo. So you can actually drag and drop files directly from your desktop, or of course, select accordingly. You can see that the transfer starts, and you can actually view the transfer activity of the ongoing transfer directly in the transfer monitor or within the client application called IBM Aspera for Desktop. So you can see that the file already transferred and it's already completed. And you also have the opportunity to look at the file speed of the transfer as well as the different files included in the transfer. Now, an important thing to know is that Aspera on Cloud has 5 primary applications: files, packages, activity, automation, and then the admin dashboard. One important thing to know is that the 2 main ways of sending and managing data within Aspera on Cloud are the files and packages applications. So you might be asking yourself, well, how do I know when to use which application? So the files application is best used when you want to set up a shared workspace where multiple different users will be able to access and collaborate on the files over time. So you can think about it as when you need persistent storage, like team folders or project repositories, if you want to organize files in folder structures, or if you want fine-grained access control, such as read, write, or delete permissions per user. That is when you'll want to use the files application. Now for the Packages application, the Packages app is designed for sending files directly to one or more recipients. So you can think of Packages as an email setup. So it's kind of like sending an email with an attachment, except much faster, more secure, and then of course without those file size limitations. So you'll want to use Packages when you're delivering files to someone, whether that's internal or external, quickly, if you don't need a shared workspace or persistent access, or if you need to send files with delivery receipts, download limits, or expiration dates. So let's go ahead and send a package of files to a colleague. So if you go into the Packages application, all you have to do is select Send Files. We can select a colleague to go ahead and send this to. Let's title it Testing. You can select files. So let's go ahead and grab some random files here. Let's go ahead and open those up. Now you actually have the option to schedule this transfer for later. So if you wanted this to be sent out at 9 a.m. the next day, you can do that. You also have options for password protection. So Aspera, by default, as part of the FASP protocol, we encrypt data end to end. So we use AES 128 or AES 256 encryption, but we also offer this additional password protection that you might be able to add on top of that package. Another thing we offer is the expiration policies. So if you want the package to be deleted, let's say after all of the recipients download the file, or if after any recipient downloads the file, you want them to be automatically deleted, you also have that option. So let's go ahead and send those. And you can again see in the transfer monitor, you can see all of the transfer as it goes. Lickety split, and you can again also use the client application to view that transfer as well. Another really cool thing about the Packages application is you can actually set up something we call shared inboxes. So a shared inbox, let's go ahead and create a test. Now, the really great thing about a shared inbox is you can actually create something called submission links. So you can create a private link, a public link, or even a self-registration link. And so what happens when you create a link is all you have to do is send this link to your recipients, and they will be able to automatically upload files into that shared inbox. You also have the option to set up email templates. You can inherit the workspace settings there, and then you can also adjust the package expiration, the submission links, as well as package settings. So now let's go ahead and dive into the activity application. So the activity application, you can think of this as your window into all of the file transfers happening within your Aspera on Cloud environment. So you can actually see the transfers for the past hour, or you can set a custom time frame. Let's say we want to see from the beginning of May until today. You can go ahead and filter that, and you can see all of the workspace activity, node activity, and it even gets down to the user activity. Another thing that is going to be helpful is the volume usage section. So in the volume usage section, you can actually see how many total terabytes of data or gigabytes of data that you have transferred. So this is going to be helpful for when you are trying to manage your subscription details and trying to figure out whether or not you should add more transfer volume to your subscription. Now let's go ahead and jump into the automation application. So this is where Aspera really starts to flex its enterprise muscle. So when you open the automation, you can actually see, let's go ahead and look at a test. So you can see that you can set up a trigger event. The different trigger events that you have are manual, time scheduled, a file add event, a shared inbox event, or a file folder delete event. So let's go ahead and say that this is a file add event. Now, if you take a look, the next step is assigning actions. So the different actions that come out of the box are you could trigger a transfer, the sending of a package, you can call an API, you can send a notification, or you can create custom variables and even create a folder. So you can really take advantage of the automation application when you want to automate recurring file transfers, if you're managing multi-step workflows. So let's say you're doing ingest to transcode to deliver. If you need to integrate with external systems via APIs or cloud events, or if you want event-driven actions. So the last thing that I will go ahead and showcase is the admin application. So the admin application is when you can go in and manage your users, manage your workspace, your security settings, absolutely everything. And so one really cool thing about Aspera is the customization capabilities. So you can actually fully customize your Aspera on cloud account, even down to the login page. You can set your own custom logo, and you can even change the entire theme of your workspace or of your organization. Almost every single UI component can be customized to your brand and your company. So that is an overview of Aspera on Cloud. Thank you so much and have a great day.
It's great. So that's just a preview of what's coming in Aspera Enterprise Web App. Uh, and we're very excited. We're very excited to share the launch date the moment we get closer to it. But the point is, this is how we are making our overall product portfolio simpler, more powerful, and making it accessible to all of our users. So yeah, that's what we have for Aspera Enterprise Web Apps. Let's move on to our next section, which is Aspera for Lite. Let's try to understand why Aspera for Lite. First of all, currently we have our on-prem perpetual solution, enterprise solution, which is very powerful and capable to provide or cater to use cases of enterprise level. Uh, but we have been hearing it from small scale and medium scale organization that not all of the use cases and capability that current enterprise product provides may not be required for small and medium scale organization. And that's where we started thinking about it, and we came up with Aspera Lite. Aspera Lite is going to be a powerful solution which can cater to small scale and medium scale enterprise uh, small and medium scale enterprise organization or organizations. Uh, it is going to have a similar capability, which is going to be a lightweight, and you will be able to perform all different use cases like sharing a file, collaboration of it. Then you can perform a lightweight automation along with that. All of those capabilities are provided in the Aspera Lite. Now, what are the different offerings under Aspera Lite? We have offerings from 100 Mbps up to 1 Gbps. Then the components that are included is we have high-speed transfer endpoint up to 1 Gbps. Along with that, the web applications that are there is Faspex for delivery and distribution of it. Then we have shares for file collaboration and folder sharing. Then we also have a console for activity and lightweight automation. And then the proxy gateways are provided. So just to give you a glimpse on and the comparison between Aspera Lite and Aspera Enterprise, let's just know the differentiation between it. From high-speed transfer perspective, Aspera Lite comes with high-speed transfer endpoint, but Aspera Enterprise inherits the high-speed transfer server. What are the bandwidth and storage? Aspera Lite comes up to 1 Gbps of a bandwidth on-prem, and then Aspera Enterprise comes up to 20 Gbps of bandwidth on-prem and cloud object storage as well. The tiers are for Aspera Lite, it is from 100 Mbps up to 1 Gbps, which we have already seen. For Enterprise, it goes from 100 Mbps up to 10 Gbps. Server application, both of them have similar server applications. You have proxy gateway, you have HTTP gateway for both. Then the web application perspective, Aspera Lite has Faspex console shares, but Aspera, since it's an enterprise grade solution, Aspera Enterprise comes up with the new web apps, which is going to be launched and by end of this year or and next year. It's going to come up with the consoles, Faspex shares, and even the orchestrator, which is our workflow automation platform. From high availability perspective, Aspera Lite will not have high availability. Aspera Enterprise already have high availability. And from a licensing point of view, Aspera Lite is going to be a subscription-based licensing, and Aspera Enterprise comes up with both perpetual and subscription licensing. So yeah, that's about Aspera for Lite. And This Aspera Lite has already been launched. We launched it in July, and it's available now for small scale and medium scale organizations. Okay, so we are at the end of the webinar. I think it's quite an exciting journey now. You must have seen what all new things we've been coming up, and the changes we've been making it to make our users and customers experience more enhancing and more capable. But we would love to hear your feedback. So please provide your feedback. Scan this QR code and let us know what you think about Aspera on Cloud and overall Aspera product. We would love to hear it, and we would love to know what you think about Aspera. That comes to an end of this webinar. Thanks, Lee. Thanks for the great session. And thank you, everyone.